Welcome back. I've got Franco Fridays teed up for you. I'm going to focus on this Dorado Films release of two lesser known, forgotten films of Jess Franco, The Silence of the Tomb. So I'm going to focus on Silence of the Tomb today and then cover The Sinister Eyes of Dr. Orloff next week. Apparently Dorado Films has been able to obtain 10 35mm prints of some hard to find Franco films, and they're releasing them as double features. I can't wait for them. They're doing also Eurocrime, things like that, but this release was pristine. I thought the print was excellent. The Silence of the Tomb, so that's the focus today, was also known as The Silence of the Grave, and it was the first film released by Jess Franco's production company. He wanted to set up his own production company, obviously, to try to control events, and this was the first film he made other films via his production company, but they were not released, so this was the first that was actually released. Both these films stars Montserrat Pross. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but she's very fetching to look at. In the sinister Silence of the Tomb, she's Valerie, kind of a combination of a manic, crazy caretaker of a boy named Christian, who is her sister's son. And Valerie, just as is most of the characters in the film, has a lot of issues. I mean, she has she's kind of got issues with taking care of Christian. She thinks that her sister's out to get her, so she actually has thoughts about killing her sister, which is done in kind of a voiceover type scenario. Anyway, The Silence of the Tomb, so you've got a group of people that meet up. They're all kind of interrelated. One's the father of Christian's son, one's the wife, stepfather, et cetera, and they're all kind of arguing about the fate of this boy Christian, who he should live with, and accept all those things. And in between all that, you got Valerie, who's just kind of crazy. I mean, she goes from crying to criticizing, and the rest of the group constantly in the film, perpetually in the film. It's essentially a 10 Little Indians Agatha Christie murder mystery, which is kind of a little bit of a different venue for Franco that he would typically look at, and it's actually, in watching it, it's unusual. You don't see, other than the music, which Franco in the Silence of the Tombs, he directed it, produced it, and wrote the music. You get sense of Franco in the music, but other than that, you really don't get. This is one of the few films that I don't get the Franco tropes like I typically get. I mean, there's no sex in this, and the murders are extremely tame, almost like the kind of murders you'd see on a daytime soap opera type scenario. So very strange, and it probably explains why it wasn't released. It got a very, very limited release, like 4 years later, only in Spain, and it's never had, that I know of, even a VHS release in North America. So this is the first time it's ever been out, period. And there's very limited information about the film, on the internet. Stephen Thrower, in his book, The Delirious Cinema of Franco, thinks this is probably one of his weakest efforts, and I don't know that I can disagree with it. It's not even very interestingly shot. It just seems like he was kind of having the material. It's a very talky material. Nothing much happens. The kid gets kidnapped. They're trying to figure out who did it. And, as they try to figure out who did it, people are getting bumped off, but none of the murders are very interesting or intriguing or graphic. I mean, they're just kind of done in a very tame fashion, which is highly unusual for Franco. So you got a Franco film here that doesn't give you sex or eroticism or violent murders or anything like that. It's 99% talk and then 1% action. So a little bit of a disappointment, quite honestly. I was eager to see it, but after seeing it, I don't know that I'd rewatch it. I struggled to get through it, and the plot of this thing, as is the case in a lot of Franco films. Unfortunately, in some cases, they just don't make a lot of sense. There's some plot points in this whodunit murder mystery that are difficult to follow, and then you got some characters that show up and disappear that are unexplained, which leads me to believe that maybe there was another version of the film that was shot somewhere. Yeah, but unfortunately, I can't recommend The Silence of the Tomb, other than I think it's important to support this release so that we get the rest of those other films in those 10 35 millimeter films. They're going to do these. Dorado's going to do these things in a series of double features. So I can't complain about what Dorado did here. They did a great job with the release. It looks beautiful. It's just not a very compelling movie. It's the other analogy I guess I would give you is that if you watch $5 for an August Moon, the Bravo film, Mario Bava film, the storyline and the scripting, this is very much along the lines of that film, and the differences are palpable because Brava, while having what appeared to be a relatively weak storyline and script, was able to interject a lot of interesting, as usual, color and cinematography. But here, Franco is very good at that. He's very good at cinematography and settings and mood and those type of things. But really, this came off as a daytime soap opera on TV. It just didn't have the Franco feel that we know and love. So it's not a horrible film. It's just not much to offer in a way of entertainment or interest. There's just nothing interesting about it. Even when Franco has a bad film, there's usually something screwy or interesting about it that keeps you watching. But here, there's just nothing that I could suggest that would do that. So unfortunately, I can't recommend the film, but I highly recommend the release. Next week, I'm going to be doing The Sinister Eyes of Dr. Orloff. So I'll cover that, and then I'll cover the special features on this Blu-ray. So that's it for Franco Fridays, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.